Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski, and I'm on the phone with Nerissa Oden, the video queen, who has the website thevideoqueen.com, and I met Nerissa at Joe Vitale's Spiritual Marketing Super Summit. She was videotaping the entire conference, and I talked to her a little bit and found out that she graduated with a degree in film, radio, and TV editing and recording and producing from college, and she just fell in love with video editing, and she just was really a fine person. I had an opportunity to work with her, and so I wanted to recognize her as a hero. How are you doing today, Nerissa?
I'm doing great. It's nice to talk to you, Ralph.
Well, I appreciate you offering to answer the heroes questions, and so the first one I wanted to ask you is, what is your definition of heroism?
Oh, well, first of all, it's my pleasure to answer the questions and help out your program in any way that I can. And the question is, again, what is the definition of heroism?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I would say a person, the ability basically to follow your gut instincts and what you're, listening to your higher self or your intuition is telling you to do, even when you're staring adversity and it feels like you're against all odds, that you're still going to do what it is that you're driven to do. And like, for example, my move from the film industry and editing and assistant editing on feature films there and for television too, but my change from the film industry into the internet took a leap of faith, because at that time, in the mid to 1990s, people were just getting on the internet in 1996. And so in 1998, when I'm going, I really want to make a living off the internet, and I want to find a way on how to transition that, I'm listening to my inner self, because the outer evidence wasn't really supporting me. So that'd be an example of heroism.
So you believe that heroism is doing the right thing, even though there's a tremendous amount of resistance from other people and just from your own fear in your own mind not to do anything new?
Yeah, conquering your own fear in your own mind and listening to your inner voice. And I would, say that we live in a time of activism right now. So I would say that heroism is not forcing other people to do as you believe, but that you live out your own beliefs in your own life and follow your own intuition and your own path. Yeah,
a lot of times that's hard because there's so much resistance that comes from our family members and friends.
Oh, definitely, yes.
It's important to have a good standard of goodness, ethics, and moral behavior to guide our lives. What is your perspective on that?
Well, I believe so. I believe that our families give us a blueprint that we start off with by the mere force of, distance to them, being with them 24 hours a day, and learning and picking up on the habits from them. But from there, we can go and develop, if we are at odds with our family, say, we can go and develop our own morality and ethics from there. And sometimes, actually for all of us, it's very hard to do unless you happen to have been brought up in a family that was helping you and encouraging you to go seek out your own answers, even if they were at odds with society or with the family, that, as long as you were looking at the big picture and looking at it from all directions, that they would support you. And, a lot of families just aren't like that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's really true. It's hard to overcome the direction that other people want you to go, especially the moms and dads, because they want to keep you from getting hurt or experiencing failure or just going through the problems and just difficulties that they experience. But, I've talked to a lot of the other heroes, and they believe that the more you fail, the greater opportunity is to be successful. What do you think about that?
Well, that's what I understand. You're not going to be able to succeed if you don't try. And not every attempt that you make is going to be successful. I don't know, however, what else to say about that. But that's just kind of like a fact of life. You may think that you're going to be successful your first time out. I know I sure did. My first website attempt at, doing video and working in Photoshop and doing an internet business with Make Your Pet a Star, and I really thought it was going to take off and be this wonderful thing. But it turned out that I didn't have a whole lot of the marketing skills that I needed at the time. In fact, I had an aversion to marketing and sales and business in general, so it's kind of ironic that I was wanting to do a business, for myself, and yet I didn't have those skills. I mean, it took a lot of guts to say this is what I want to do and go do it, but there's definitely a learning process involved, and I thought it was going to do great, and I think it could do great. It's a great idea, but that's not where I'm going to put my energy anymore. I've learned a lot since then. I actually learned that wasn't exactly where my passion was, and so that's a whole learning process in and of itself. I thought I was doing something that I wanted to do, which was do pet portraits and pet videos, and as it turns out, I was operating more from I had lost my cat that I'd had for 19 years, and I was really missing her, and I really felt that I wanted people to understand that, a lot of people feel like pets are part of the family, and I wanted to help promote that feeling in the world.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that. A lot of people, consider heroism people that actually get paid do heroic things, like policemen, firemen, people in the military, and they are definitely heroes because they do have to lay down their lives sometimes in the process of doing their job. What do you think about the idea of people that are heroes that are just living daily lives and being of service to others, and they don't really get any recognition? What principles are you willing to sacrifice your life for?
Well, remind me of the second part of that question in a minute. But, definitely, there's a difference between a firefighter and a volunteer firefighter. I think that, the volunteer firefighter doesn't get paid, obviously, and it's a whole different, dynamic in your life. They are both risking their lives and serving their community, and for that they definitely have to be admired. But just like people who sign up to be in the military who are going to get money to go to college is different than, say, the activist that was killed over there recently. What was her name? Marla Vizika or something like that. That she had gone over there to help the average Iraqi, citizen, just to help feed and clothe themselves and maintain their lives in the midst of this chaos and war. And she wasn't getting paid for that. And they're all heroes, but Marla is not typically, this woman Marla wasn't typically someone who'd get press recognition. And there are people that are doing things for the benefit of the greater good of society. A lot of them are not getting paid for it. It's kind of like traditional women's work. A lot of it is not, has traditionally not been valued. But I think we as individuals have to recognize that no matter whether you're getting, you're not getting paid or you're getting paid, as long as you're doing something that fits your internal desire for making your life satisfying and better and you're fitting the greater good, especially when you're coming up against a lot of boundaries. And a great example would be a whistleblower type person who blows a whistle on government corruption or corporate corruption when that corruption pertains to, helping to destroy the lives of a lot of people. So a person like that is going to come up against a lot of adversity. They're going to personally get libeled and things like that, and that takes a lot of courage, and those type of people are definitely heroes. There was the football player who left football because he wanted to go fight terrorism, and he thought that Iraq and the war in Iraq was the way to fight terrorism, and he lost his life. That guy is a hero. That guy is someone to be admired. He left a plush career with lots of pay and lots of notoriety and celebrity status to go fight in the war that he felt strongly against, and he ultimately, lost his life for it. So I hope I'm answering that question.
Yeah, that is a good answer to that question. It's not so much the people with the burst of adrenaline race into a burning building to save somebody, and then they live a life of despair or just whatever. Gregory Allen Williams, Black Cop on Baywatch, he actually saved a man's life during the L.A. riots, even though he was a movie star and a Shakespearean actor. had tons of money. He risked his life to save an Asian man that was being beaten to death in an intersection, and he raced out there, and just as the mob was going to kill him and the Asian guy, a Mexican guy stepped in and took the beating so he could get him to the neighbors to get that guy to a hospital, and they saved that guy's life. Just, and that's my true idea of heroism.
Yeah, that's a great example. Absolutely.
You have something to lose, and, laying down your life for somebody else you don't even know. I think that's just an incredible thing. I think people like that are incredible heroes, but I also think that moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and just people that sacrifice their life and sacrifice the things that they want to do to help raise their kids, they're real heroes too.
And that's another great example. Exactly.
Everybody has highs and lows in their lives, and I think you really define the character of an individual and how they respond when they're at one of the lowest points in their life. When was the lowest point in your life, and how did you change your life path?
Oh gosh, lowest point in my life was probably when I felt like my mother didn't want me and that my father didn't want me. I came from the divorced family, and I didn't really know my dad, and my mother wasn't getting child support, and she felt like she had been betrayed by the courts, and she couldn't get child support from my dad. And so she said, look, it's nothing against you or anything, but you're 13 now, and it's time for him to take care of you. He's got to live up to some of the responsibility. I just can't do this anymore. And I'm her third child.
Wow.
And, so I definitely understood what she was saying, even at 13, but it still hurt nonetheless. And then when we go to the father's house, the father's like, we really need to get you back to the moms, and no, I don't want to, I don't want to assume the responsibility. And that also felt like rejection. So that was probably the lowest point in my life. Emotionally, that really was that basically I ended up being back with my mother, and basically because I was, I basically turned into a runaway for a little bit, and I ended up back up with my mother, and my mother took us to counseling, and I guess probably on the third or fourth counseling session, I finally opened my mouth and started talking. That was the lowest point in my life, and I'm not sure what would have happened if my mother hadn't agreed to come rescue me or take me back,
Mm-hmm. Well, how did you pull yourself up by your bootstraps? Were there people that helped you along the way just to overcome? Because I know that's a problem that a lot of young people are going through now. What was it that gave you the courage to carry on?
Well, this is going to sound a little funny, but I get a lot of my optimism and desires for goals and stuff from the television.
You do?
I've always been the kind of person, ever since I was a little girl, who could sit in one spot and watch television for a long period of time, or I could sit in one spot and, give me crayons and a color book, and I'll sit there for hours focusing on one thing. Well, television was very similar, and I spent a lot of time in front of the television. And I think from the television I learned how life could be different than my family life, and that there are happy, smiley families who do support each other, and you learn lessons from them. They help you see the lesson in, circumstances that happen to you, help you figure out the best way to react to them and things like that. So a lot of my optimism for my life, wanting it to be better financially and emotionally, came from television.
Really?
And so I just had an intuitive, or I don't know if it was intuitive, but I certainly held on to the feeling that my life could be better.
So when you saw TV and you saw the different programs, was that where you were able to create a dream and a vision for your life?
Well, I think that when I was watching television and saw the happy families, which was not what my family was broken apart. My brother and sister really didn't treat me like a sibling at that time. They both didn't like me very much. They felt like I was the youngest and I was the spoiled child and the favorite. The truth is we just had different personalities, and, we get along well now, but back then when we were children, they didn't see things in the in the best light. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a big brother, big sister to go run to and say, oh, help me with this problem, or this bully's picking on me, or anything like that. I just, didn't. I had to look out for myself and the family, basically. And so from that, I saw that the television families could be different, and then from that, I was able to attract friends in my life who came from, like, say, middle-class families where the parents had been married just one time and were still married, and, they had older brothers and sisters that were nice to them and looked after them and helped them, and so it just happened, and, you could call it coincidence, or you could call it, focusing on what you want, or, attracting what you want in your life. I attracted, at the age of 13, 14, and 15, the best friends that I still have in my life today, and they all came from these families. And they weren't perfect families, but they were kind of what I had envisioned or gotten the idea from television.
Wow.
And I think that reinforced the whole television concept. It was like, okay, here's an idea from television, how things can be better. And then, wow, look, my friends have this very similar to television kind of lifestyle, and, it's a real thing. And so that also gave me hope and an understanding that things can be better, because, honestly, I was the kind of child who learned from observing my family. I could see that people would get married very quickly, and divorce would most likely ensue, and they'd probably have a child, and they'd just hate each other, and, it was just horrible on the child, and it was just a lot of chaos, a lot of snappy, decisions, and but yet my friends' families weren't like that, and the, ideal television families, weren't like that. So,
yeah. Well, it sounds in your life that you had a lot of setbacks and misfortunes, and made a few mistakes along the way. How important is it to be positive and be an optimist?
Well, very important. I think I've been an optimist forever, and of course, there's the dark spots, like I mentioned, when I felt like nobody wanted me. I felt like I was worthy at that time to be loved. I felt like I was a good child and, a good daughter, and that nobody wanted me, so that was definitely a dark spot. But, so I've always had an internal belief that I'm worth it, and I'm worth better, and I can achieve as long as I, hold on to the dream. And I wouldn't say that I was always consciously thinking that, but it was an internal something inside me that, would obviously guide me through life, because I am way better than, I'm financially better and emotionally better, and, I'm more happy. Mm-hmm. So, I did get to where I wanted to go.
So do you think that it takes a lot of courage to pursue new ideas?
I think so. I was very fortunate to have, my family whenever I was in, later in high school and college, whenever I got back together with my brother and sister and stuff. And my mother was always supportive of me. I can do whatever I want. I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough, to do whatever I want. So I always had that kind of verbal support. Now, we lived below poverty level for the whole time I was in high school, and, I had to have the school lunch tickets, so that the government would pay for my lunches because my mother couldn't afford it, and, all those type of things. But I was always, emotionally encouraged to achieve and go for my dreams. Not that they were providing me with role models, which I think is very important for parents to do. It kind of seals the deal. You can't really, it's hard to tell children to go for their dreams and then you not go for your dreams. It just kind of takes away the argument. But at least I did have that. I did have the verbal support and encouragement, and that adds a lot and helps you a lot. And so it's hard for me to even imagine if someone doesn't even have that at home, that I would highly encourage you to go seek out the friends and the friends' families and the mentors at school, the teachers, and other adults in your life, other relatives. Go migrate towards those people who do give you the emotional support and the encouragement to go for your dreams and to do what it is that you want to achieve in your life.
That's really good advice, because I know a lot of young people are going through that at this point in time, and having dreams and just seeking after those dreams and not letting anybody steal your dream is so invaluable. And I know in the process of doing that, I'm sure you had a lot of doubts and fears about just about everything when you don't have a good family role model and a good family to come from. How did you overcome your doubts and fears?
Well, one thing just came to mind, and I did well in school, grade-wise and stuff, A's and B's, and I was going to go to Texas A&M to be an electrical engineer. And I almost got a full scholarship for that, but I, shot myself in the foot by, smoking cigarettes, like a chimney before I went into the interview, and, of course, reeked like smoke, and just did not make a good impression on the board that was reviewing me. And I think that was a blessing in a way, because my whole goal at that point was to get a good paying job and have a life at night and on the weekends. And what happened was, late in my senior year, I ended up meeting one of my classmates, or really spending a lot of time with one of my classmates, and he ended up, he had been working as a DJ at his father's radio station for a while, and I just found that all very fascinating, and I really took hold of that concept, and I asked him to show me how to do audition tapes, and which he did gladly, and I worked on my audition tapes. I got permission to come in and hang around and be like the office intern, which I did, and basically I ended up getting a job as a DJ, and from then on it was like, oh my goodness, I can have a job where I make money and I enjoy what I'm doing. And up until then, I guess I hadn't ever thought that was it wasn't really an option, because I didn't really realize that I could do that. Yeah.
Well, what gave you the willpower to change the things in your life for the better? Was it just the support from your friends, families, or was there any particular element that gave you the courage just to do the things that you wanted to do and just not give up?
Well, it was a lot of the verbal support from the family. Way to go, Nerissa! You're the first person to get into college. Good for you. I tell all my friends about you. I think you're doing great. Keep it up. I had to work 30 hours a week at a part-time job to afford to go to college. And get the Pell Grants and the loans from the government. So it was hard work, but I did have the encouragement, and of course I chose the right friends. I didn't get in with the bad crowd. I chose people who supported me and encouraged me to go for what I was wanting to do, which was go to college, move into a large, strange city by myself with no money, not even sure that I'd be able to afford to go to college, because I didn't know if I was going to get financial aid at the time. So, if I had people doubting me and nagging at me and, saying I couldn't do it all over the place, I don't think I would have made it as far as I did. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to be surrounded by people who support you and encourage you and wish you well.
So you think that it's important to find a good group of role models and also a good peer group that has or is experiencing the type of lifestyle that you want to experience?
No, definitely. And then you have to be the same kind of lifestyle. But, some person may want to spend their life doing, nonprofit work, and living on, $15,000 a year or whatever, because, they're living in Africa most of the time, and, housing is very affordable there compared to here. And, so it doesn't, your peers don't have to want to do what you're going to want to do. But I think as far as, it's very important to get mentors. And in fact, I didn't even realize the importance of mentors. I kind of saw how valuable that was in hindsight. But it's very important to go seek out mentors and ask adults for help and for guidance. And when you're looking at mentors, you should look towards people who can help you in the chosen career path that you're looking at, what you're wanting to do in life, and even your spiritual path. That's where the mentors will come in hand. Your friends can have their own path, but as long as you all support each other on each other's paths, that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a lot of people that offended and opposed you and upset you. How important was it for you to forgive those people to be able to just have peace in your life?
Well, I didn't really have a lot of people who, opposed me or anything. Like I say, my family, although they didn't have financial support, for me, I had to go to work and start making money as soon as I could legally do that, so I could, pay for my concerts and concert T-shirts and school lunches or breakfasts or whatever. But they gave me a lot of verbal support, and I think that means a lot. So anybody who was a real downer to me. So, for example, I remember running across people in high school who were interested in the kind of music that I liked and the kind of concerts that I liked to go to, or we just happened to be in the same classes or whatever, French class or gym class or whatever. But if I hung out with them and found that they were really heavy into drugs, or they were picking they were dating some guy who was like 28 and they were 16, and I just knew that those were negative influences in my life, and I chose not to hang out with them. Certainly, I did not, make those people, did not try to belittle those people by any means, but they're just not someone I would voluntarily go hang out with for a weekend or, go do stuff with. So.
Well, do you experience service to others as a source of joy?
Definitely, and, I am working on finding the balance. It's very hard for me to, or it's been very hard for me, one of my struggles with marketing and stuff is I just want to help people, and so I've always been in a position of, I've always been an employee where I always went and sought out my job, but once I had my job, it was a definite, defined thing, and someone gave me a paycheck for doing my work, and I always did great work. So, like, for example, when I was working at the Post House in Houston, the producers would come in and then say, okay, here's our project, and here's what we want to achieve, and here's the kind of look that we're looking at, and I would go all out to help them, and I was very successful as an editor with the producers because I listened to them, I didn't override their concerns, I worked with their concerns, and so that made me very popular there. Now that I have my own business, I'm in the position of I have to ask people to pay for my services. And so it's like a switch. It's like I'm finding it, it's not very easy for me to do that just because I'm so used to having, the paycheck and being able to produce what they're wanting me to produce. And now I have to kind of go get that paycheck from every individual person they work with. Does that make sense?
Sure it does.
And it's different. And so I'm right now in the transition of, okay, how, I'm surrounded by marketers, and I have a mastermind marketing group that I belong to, and they're like a support group for business people. And, their experiences in marketing have been very helpful and have guided me a lot. And at the same time, it turns out that a lot of their customers are other marketer people. Well, my customers are not necessarily other marketing people, so I'm having to, discover my own intuition and find my own path that kind of against the grain of what the group is suggesting or providing answers for. Mm-hmm. And what I've discovered is that, the more that I can give, well, as long as I can give freely to people as far as information about video and how they can do video affordably and on their own home computers and even free, because there's a lot of free software out there, then, what is the best way that I can give that information to people? Is it, do I ask them to sign up for my newsletter, which is free, and then they get that information for free? Or, and the way I'm probably going to go right now is, because I want to give a lot more than asking for business, I'm probably going to put the Google Sense on my, Google AdWord things, Google Sense on my web pages, and make money that way through click-throughs, because I think a lot of my audience is not necessarily, they're not the marketing audience. They're not willing to spend $50 for a product, and a lot of them come from the television mentality, and they'd like to have stuff for free. So, here I am, learning all this stuff as I go, right? And what's nice is that it fits well with my personality, because I would like to be able to just give and give and give. And if I can make money in the affiliate way, which is if I'm talking about Pinnacle Studio 9 on my website, which is one of my favorite video editing softwares that you can download for free at pinnaclesystem.com, a free trial. It lasts for 30 days. It's my favorite software, and if I can review Pinnacle Systems and I can make movies showing people how to use Pinnacle Systems, and the people say, wow, this is really neat, and there's a Pinnacle ad on the right-hand side of the page, and they go click on that, and I make a few cents, and I get a lot of people doing that. I'm sharing knowledge, and I'm making some money at the same time. So that looks like, at this point, that's the method that I'm going to be set up for.
Oh, that sounds
I was just going to say, I feel like I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's something that, for me in self-realization and, self-embetterment and, confronting my marketing and sales knowledge and, baggage that I got somehow through growing up. I guess I was always told that rich people were stingy, and rich people this and rich people that, and business people. My entire family were all employees, right? None of them were business owners and employers. So I have a lot of baggage that I have to work through in order to be able to have my own business.
Yeah, I understand that. I was going to say that I love Pinnacle Studios too. That's the one that I use for video editing.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yay, we have something else in common.
Yeah, well, we also have a sense of humor in common too. How important is it to have a sense of humor in the face of serious problems, since everybody has those in their lives?
Yeah, well, I would have to say that I probably don't have a very good sense of humor in the face of problems that are immediately happening. I do have that sense of optimism, though. I do try to look for the silver lining and focus on that. Yeah, but I probably don't have a lot of, I don't really look at the downsides with a lot of humor. But I definitely admire people who can, because it certainly helps me to be around them. And but I do look for the silver lining, and when other people are in distress and going through a hard time, I always share the silver lining that I see in the situation to them.
Yeah, that's a valuable thing to do. Well, who are the heroes in your life?
Gosh, heroes in my life. Well, I think, Joe Vitale is an excellent role model and hero to look up to, and I've learned so much from him, and of course I share my life with him, so, I love him dearly, and he's an excellent role model and hero. And then, I typically haven't looked at people on the news as heroes, but when the first things that really come to mind for me, Ralph, when you talk about heroes besides the own people that I know in my life personally, my mother in some ways is a hero. I didn't have the best upbringing, but she certainly gave me the verbal support that I needed to, carry my optimism and go for my dreams. So the people outside of the immediate people that I know would be, gosh, I have a lot of respect for the whistleblower people who are, when they break the news, some big news story about how the government, lied and covered up a bunch of wrongdoing, or corporations lied and covered up a bunch of wrongdoing, and they know they're probably going to get slandered in the news for it, and because the government and the corporations are protecting themselves, and they have to. But those people, I would say that those people are heroes, because what they're doing is for the betterment of everybody. Yeah. And they're bringing to light issues that we all have to confront and work on in order to have a better society and a better, culture of life, really. Clean air, clean water, all those things, keeping the Constitution intact, just kind of name it. So those really are the first people that come to mind. And the Sybil Edmonds, I read a lot of political stuff, and Sybil Edmonds comes to mind as far as a whistleblower who I was so awed by her tenacity to be able to continue to speak out.
Yeah. Well, those are real heroes, because it's hard to stand up against that amount of power, the political power that some of those corporations and the government has, and they don't want the light of exposure on the darkness that they experience in their pursuit of wealth or power or whatever. So yeah, those people are incredible, because when you go up against powers that are that big, I mean, a lot of times those people get crushed in the process of doing so, and to do it with the attitude you're going to do it because it's the right thing to do. I mean, those are really the true heroes of today.
Yeah, and I mean, it may not be self-sacrificing your life, but it is certainly a self-sacrificing, and hopefully, ultimately, something good will come out of it for the person. But I haven't heard those stories.
Yeah.
And so I've always stood up for what I've believed in, and sometimes it didn't happen, right away. Sometimes it's like, wow, this is very shocking. I don't know what to do, and I have to spend time thinking, what's the path here? Do I ignore this? Do I act on it? What do I do? And but I've always gone with what I felt was right. Of course, I haven't had any major catastrophes or events, anything like people who are in the public eye had to go through. But and everybody is in their own little world. You're going to encounter situations where you're going to have to make a stand.
So you feel that's the way that people are real heroes, that every person has the potential to be a hero if they actually
definitely
follow through on what they believe is the right thing to do.
Definitely. Have confidence in your beliefs, and share them with others. I wouldn't recommend trying to force them on others, but certainly sharing and opening and discussion. Mm-hmm. Even that for some people takes a lot of courage. There are some people who are discouraged in their homes to talk back.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot of courage to even discuss your own personal viewpoints with other people. But and people who overcome their own trauma that they've endured in their life, whether it's physical violence in their family, or a tragic accident that happened that
mm-hmm.
Kind of left you emotionally scarred, car accident or something.
Yeah.
I mean, those people are heroes too. I mean, we usually, as our society doesn't usually give them that label, but they are. I mean, they are people that I admire and wish well, and enjoyed being around. And it's like people who are able to overcome whatever their adversity is. I'm just kind of speechless. I'm really glad to have been able to have met them, have read about them, have known about them, have interacted with them.
So you think that it's the average person, just like all of us, that triumphs over trials and tribulations and obstacles that are, in our eyes, sometimes just incredible.
Exactly. I mean, give yourself as an example. You had this idea for a program, and you're bringing it to fruition, and you've had personal obstacles to overcome, and you've had obstacles on the program itself, but you've made so many great strides and gains, and you're doing a wonderful thing. And, that didn't come from any outside sources saying, hey, Ralph, do this. That came from an internal desire and drive and intuition and, all that stuff. And, and it's been a long road. I mean, we met for the first time almost a year and a half ago, maybe, or
yeah.
a year and some months ago, and
yeah.
And you're working on it then, and you'd been working on it for a while then, and that really takes a commitment to your passion, and you're an example of a hero.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on it for 12 years.
Yeah, well, give yourself a hand. Yeah, that's awesome.
Sometimes you have to make the decision, what's more important, money or making a positive difference in the world, especially in the lives of young people. And I know that you're making the world a better place. What are the things that you're actually doing to help make the world a better place?
Oh, well, I have this great idea for as a way that no one else is doing to help people practice video editing. And that sounds kind of silly to some people, like, why should I learn video editing and stuff? But from how I see it, we all know the visual language on television, but very few of us know how to speak it, or how it gets spoken to us, what goes on behind the scenes to make that message. And so the more people who I can get interested in video editing or just video in general, like I have one book that is 137 fun, funny, and zany and profitable things to do with your camcorder. Well, I got that. It was a great idea from Joe, who bought a camcorder because he was intrigued with the technology and he didn't know what to do with it. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding. I'm like, absolutely full of ideas. And he's like, well, just put them down in the book, write a book. And I'm going, who would buy it? Everybody knows what to do with the camcorder. And he goes, no, they don't. And I'm like, well, I hadn't thought of it like that. So getting the ideas out there in a way that's unique and affordable, and after having this pivoting realization about the Google AdSense, people can actually make money with that, giving away their stuff. That's really what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be creating. I've already got one project on the web that is you can watch the project called Video Basics on my website, and it's an edited project, and then you can go download the MPEG file of all the unedited clips that I use to edit that project together. And that gives people a tool to practice their video editing on. It's a real-life project. It goes from long shot to medium shot to close-ups to cutaways to still shots. It kind of incorporates all those things that people would use in video editing. And not everybody is going to be enthralled to do video editing when all they're shooting is video of their dog or their cat. So this gives them something that they can work on, and as they're working on video editing, they're learning the language. They're kind of, oh, okay, this is how you achieve that effect, or this is. It's kind of hard to explain it, but the visual language off the television, we all know it, but there is a definite way to make it. And the more people who start to make it without knowing anything, the better off they'll be in identifying that language and how it got to be on the screen as they see it.
Is that on your site, thevideoqueen.com?
That downloadable clip and the movie is on my site. It's under the button called Edit Wow, because I intend to make that a totally separate site for unedited projects and scenes that people can go download and use in their video editing software.
Oh, that's really great. Well, I really appreciate your time and just how much you shared with us today, and I'm looking at you being a wonderful resource for the young people that are going to be doing the video interviews in their communities of the people they consider heroes. And I was just curious whether you had any final comment.
Final comment. I guess, the main thing is I of course would encourage you to do, at least 2 video projects or, and a couple of audio projects so that you have an understanding of how the media works. And then for those of you who are more interested in video and audio as a possible career, or you're just wanting to get into it more, there's a great new thing happening on the web called video blogging. And I'll go ahead and plug someone else's site if that's okay with you. There is a free resource out there right now. It's called the website is freeblog, and it's vlog.blogspot.com. And that site shows you step by step how to get a free blog, which is kind of like a website, how to put images on it, how to put video on it, and that's through a free image hosting service, free video hosting service. And so, in essence, you can be a part of the growing Internet media community. You can have your own interviews with people in your neighborhood, interviews with people at your school, your own little documentaries, interview your friends and what their favorite hobbies are. I mean, there's all kinds of wide variety of video and audio projects one can do, but that website, freevlog.blogspot.com, will show you how you can, with no money, have your own video and audio website. And I think it's a great place for people to start when they're starting to learn media.
So that would be B as in boy, L-O... No.
V as in Victor.
V as in Victor, okay. So it'd be FREEVLOG spot, SPOT.com?
It's www.freevlog with a V as in Victor, VLOG.blog, BLOG spot.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a long one. But every time that you have a blogger site, whatever the name of your blog is, it's the name of your blog plus blogspot plus com.
Okay, so here it is. It's www.free, V as in victory, LOG, period, BLOGSPOT.com.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Thank you. Confusing with the long URL. Well, Nerissa, it was a pleasure talking with you. And again, I just thank you so much for sharing your life with us, because it has to be an inspiration for the young people that are going through similar experiences as you've gone through, to know that they can be as successful as they choose to be and just never give up.
Well, thank you for asking me to do this. I really enjoyed it, and hopefully, even if one person out there is inspired or, get some new information, I'm just tickled to death. So thank you.
Thank you, and I want you to have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.